week on Prepping 2.0.
Part 6, pardon the immodesty. I think that these episodes we've done on the Top 100 have been some of the most concentrated bits of information on prepping that you're going to get anywhere, and we're very, very happy and proud to provide it.
When disaster strikes, will you be prepared? This is Prepping 2.0 with authors and prepping experts Glenn Tate and Shelby Gallagher. Online at prepping2-0.com. Get ready. Prepping 2.0 coming in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everyone. This is Shelby Gallagher over here at Prepping 2.0, joined by my co-host on the show and co-host in life, Glenn Tate.
Hello, everybody. We continue with our series of the Top 100. This is part 6. We love... Yes, dear?
This is an incredible series.
This is incredible. This is a marathon for us.
This is like a sitcom. This is season 1.
It's like War and Peace by Dostoevsky. Anyway, folks, part 6. If you've listened so far, you know that you like this. We're going through the Top 100, giving some color commentary. I personally think, and pardon the immodesty, I think that these episodes we've done on the Top 100 have been some of the most concentrated bits of information on prepping that you're going to get anywhere, and we're very, very happy and proud to provide it.
And especially in the landscape we're living in right now. Seriously, we are in a collapse. There's no more pre-collapse.
Yeah.
We are in a slow-moving collapse right now. These are things that we will revisit this maybe in a year or two and go, yeah, we can't get that anymore.
Yeah.
Now is the time to think through a list like this. So what are the things we wanted to talk about first before we dive in, Glenn?
Just wanted to mention that we have goodie bags coming out. In the last episode 141, we told you about all that. Be patient with us, folks. We're relocating to Montana, and I got a little chemotherapy or whatever going on, so there's that. So we will get those. We're excited. You can have fun. It's a great reason to be a Patreon.
Patreon, absolutely.
Bottom line, and it's on the Patreon page, which is, you can find that on prepping2-0.com on the big orangish red button that says Become a Patreon. I'll tell you all about the goodie bags and what they are. A little free something we mail out to you. For being a Patreon as our way of saying thank you, and it's cool stuff, and we love doing it. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on the goodie bags. If it works for you, Shelby, I would like to launch right in to some of the items, and we'll do a couple items, and then we'll talk about some sponsors. How about that?
Sounds good.
Item number 71. I'm going to do odds this time. You've been doing odds, and I've been doing evens, but we like to mix it up. That in our world, listeners, is mixing it up, switching the odds to the evens.
We're so exciting.
Oh, yeah. We're just so cool. Number 71, baby wipes, oils, waterless, and antibacterial soap. Oh, my goodness. Talk about something that's needed. Shelby, why might that be?
Well, it's baby wipes, oil, all of these things we learned during COVID when we all have to wash our hands and wash surfaces nonstop. Super essential. It was during that time it became you couldn't find bleach wipes anywhere, but now you can, and it's super available. Good to have.
Costco will just knock it out of the park. Sam's Club, same thing.
Oh my gosh, grab some of these things, because in a collapse, when we have more and more disruptions coming our way, keeping things sanitized and clean will keep you healthy. Baby oil, in particular, I think is good to have because it's good for skin. It's good for a kind of I'm not going to go into a long commentary, but good for certain skin conditions and kind of first aid sort of end of things. Baby wipes are just good for wiping human skin without irritating it, not just baby skin. It's good for wiping off dirty hands after eating. It's good for all those things, and it's just, they're super handy. If you are a mom and you've ever used baby wipes or anything other than a baby, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and it mentions antibacterial soap, not fluffy pumpkin smelling soap, not, this soap was made with recycled soap. No. I don't even know what that means. Antibacterial. Why? Because of bacteria. They're bad.
And again, these are all things that this technology...
We're antibacterial.
They used to just be hand soap.
Right.
Now, since COVID, everything is antibacterial. And it used to be antibacterial soap, believe it or not, if you did any research or experiences, was hard to find, and it was really expensive. Now you can buy 4 packs of antibacterial hand soap at Costco, Sam's. Buy it. It's good to have.
I would like to add something that is not on this list but is related, and that is foot cream and this great product that came out a few years ago, Boudreaux's, because I remember it was a Louisiana thing. Boudreaux's butt paste is what they call it. And it's like diarrheal, I guess, Desitin, or not diarrheal, I'm sorry, diaper.
Yeah, diaper rash kind of thing,
stuff. And without going into too much detail, I'll tell you this. Being on chemo, yes, I'm on chemo for new listeners, not for much longer. By the time you hear this, I may or may not be.
Oh my gosh, we're like,
getting towards the end, aren't we?
Oh my gosh, seriously, there's going to be, like, we might have a celebratory show.
Oh, I think so, yeah. So I'm going to try to not be gross, but I'm going to say this. So with chemotherapy, there's something called neuropathy, which I didn't know about, but boy, do I know it now.
I want to talk about this, yeah.
So what neuropathy is the chemotherapy chemicals that are in your body are so nasty and toxic and brutal that if they concentrate in a greater concentration than they are supposed to, like in your blood flow, they attack the nerves. And, you know, like when you fall asleep on your arm and your arm falls asleep, you know, that pins and needles feeling? That's what it is. How does this happen? When you experience cold, like it has been here recently, like even walking outside, like even cool air, it doesn't have to be cold. It just has to be cool air. When that cool air hits my extremities where the capillaries are kind of tight and constricted, the capillaries constrict. And what that does is it concentrates the poison that I am injecting into myself every 2 weeks. Not myself, but you know what I mean. The poison that's in me, and it attacks the nerves. Bottom line, whenever there's anything even mildly cool, I now can feel differences in air temperature in different parts of a room because I'll be okay in one part of the room, and in another part of the room, it'll attack my neuropathy, and it is extraordinarily unpleasant. Now it wears off after 5-10 minutes, thank goodness. So I can't have cold water on me. Well, guess what? Last week, and you and Joel are in Montana, so couldn't help me. The propane runs out. Call the propane company. We don't have your account, sir. Much like I talked about on the KHNC show a couple weeks ago, the Sovietification of American customer service. Nobody gives a dang anymore, and it's just like, I don't know, I'm going to call my supervisor. So anyway, I went 3 or 4 days without propane because nobody could figure out how to deliver it to me until finally
Which means there's no hot water in our house. There's no hot water
because we have a tankless water here. So for 4 days, I could not have water warm enough with which to clean myself sponge bath style. I can't take a shower.
Hands.
I can't take a shower because of stuff that's gross that I'm not even going to tell you about because you wouldn't. It's gross.
But to wash your hands.
To wash my hands, and also to take care of just the sponge, the sponge bath that I give myself. It was really hot. Things got really.
This was during the 110 degree, 115 degree. Yeah.
No cold water or no warm water.
Yeah.
I had to have warm water. Bottom line, I'm going to say this, gentlemen. The Boudreaux's butt paste, it's not just good for your butt. It's good for other things. And thank goodness I had that stuff because stuff was getting nasty, uncomfortable, and I was in a very foul mood because I'm like, really? I live in a first world country and I'm dealing with this? Really? But see, in a collapse situation, it'll be like the propane company not knowing how to deliver me propane. You won't have hot water. You won't even have mild water. And so these things become a thing. You can't overestimate the importance of personal hygiene products like baby wipes, oils, and antibacterial soap. I'll end this topic with this from my very good friend who recently retired from a special operations unit. He would tell stories, usually very graphic ones that we're not going to share with you, about guys out in the field for 30, 40 days who thought it would be a good idea not to do personal hygiene or thought it was, you know, kind of like wussy or whatever, and how those guys got crippled up. Now, it wore off, but when you have to call in a medevac helicopter because somebody wasn't washing themselves, you're not doing your unit any favors. And God forbid that helicopter that comes and gets you because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do gets shot out of the sky. So obviously we're not dealing with downed helicopters here, but I'm just telling you, this topic is really, really important. And I don't know why, for the life of me, I don't know why. Guys in particular tend to shrug this off like, oh, whatever. You're not going to have your current hygiene situation. You're not going to be able to take a warm shower every day. So get on it, guys. And again, once again, dead horse. Hear that beating sound? Boom, 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 boom. That's me beating a dead horse. Barterable items.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is, if I dare say, kind of the golden age of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's one of the benefits that came out of COVID is everything became antibacterial. We all became germaphobes. But now is it when you can get this stuff for cheap. For cheap. So grab it. I'm going to go on to number 72 because the horse is dead. Really can't say it enough. Number 72, rain gear, rubberized boots, emergency rain ponchos, etc. Rain gear, well, let me say this. Rubberized boots, super cheap. Go to your farm supply store. They have you can tell when you're in that row of boots.
Because it
smells like rubber.
Like Chinese rubber.
And you can get them for $15, $20. I also recommend you get a decent thickness set of socks. If you put those boots on barefooted,
oh, geez.
The inside of those boots are rough. And I'm saying this as someone who has done that, and I've ended up with scrapes on the inside on my legs from the boots. Find yourself some boot socks at the same time. Rain gear, good, solid rain gear that is waterproof, not just a slicker.
May I add to that? There's two things. There's waterproof, yes, which just keeps the moisture out. If you're going to be exerting yourself at all, like even a little bit, Gore-Tex, or there's other brand names for it. Yes, Gore-Tex is expensive, or breathable, waterproof stuff. Yes, it's expensive. You've got to, GOTTA, you got to have a full set of legit breathable rain gear. That means a parka with a hood.
And pants.
And gaiters for your boots.
Yes.
To prevent the moisture coming in through your bootlaces, basically. You absolutely have to do it. You can't be outside. And of course, we lived, past tense, right, in the Pacific Northwest where it rains a lot. Maybe this is a bigger deal with us. I think it's a big deal everywhere because you get cold and wet. And okay, if you live in Florida, it rains for 20 minutes and 20 minutes later, everything's dry. Maybe this isn't a big deal with you. But it
still gets, if you're wet and then you get cold because the temperature drops,
problematic.
I don't care where you live. You're hypothermic within a few hours.
And this is one of these things, we've talked about this a couple times. There are things to cheap out on and there are things not to cheap out on. Good, breathable rain gear is not to be cheaped out upon. And there's so much good stuff now. And yeah, it's expensive. A full setup is going to cost you a few $100. You gotta, period. GOTTA, gotta.
And one of the things that puts here is emergency rain ponchos. Ponchos are exactly what it's described. It's a poncho that you put on over yourself. That is meant to be used in an emergency situation, or you put on the kids to walk to school if it's raining outside. You're not going to stay ultimately dry. If you need to go outside in the elements, you need to have full rain gear. Just a jacket or just a poncho is not going to keep you dry and safe from elements. So you need to consider your use. I will say emergency rain ponchos are really good for, you can make a tent out of them. You can wrap a backpack and keep your backpack dry. You can do a lot because it's a sheet of plastic with a hole in the middle for a hood. So emergency rain ponchos serve a lot of other purposes than keeping a human dry, which they actually don't do very good at. So
they're more like deluge protection.
Yes.
It rains really hard and you get a lot less wet. Well, we've gone through two. Now, Shelby, my suggestion is let's talk about our sponsors and let's talk about all of our sponsors so that we can then get back to the list that everybody loves. And I don't mean to dismiss the sponsors, you guys. Listen to this because when we have sponsors, these folks have products or services that are going to be good for you. So starting at the top of our list,
awesome. We'll just
Katie
go down.
Armor, CATI, stands for Come and Take It Armor. KatieArmor.com. They make steel, spalling coated body armor plates and, of course, plate carriers. You can learn more about them at KatieArmor.com. If you use the coupon code GRANT, as in the lead character and super cool tough guy, awesome dude in the 299 Days book series, autobiographical but fiction, you save 10%. So use grant for that. Shelby, what's our next sponsor?
Jared Savig, a great realtor. He and his wife live in the Kalispell, Montana area. They are preppers themselves. They know exactly what it takes to make a good prepping property. So if you're looking to purchase a turnkey property or build something yourself, don't necessarily feel like you have to be limited to just Kalispell, Montana. They have properties in town, out of town, and way out of town. So put it in your search engine, Seize the Day Montana or SeizeTheDayMT.com to look them up. They can help you out. Tell them when you reach out to them that Glenn and Shelby sent you.
New Manna Foods, Numanna, like manna from heaven, but new, NU. They make long-term, bulk, freeze-dried food, family portions. It should be the anchor in your food preps for your freeze-dried food component. Remember, we're always talking about layering. Your freeze-dried food layer should be New Manna Foods. Check them out, newmanna.com, and you use the coupon code PREP, lowercase, PREP, and you're going to save 10%. Also, Backwoods Home magazine, fantastic. Actually, a reference piece, a quarterly reference piece that comes in the mail. A phenomenal articles. Makes your mind think of stuff you didn't think of. It's got how-to plans. You were mentioning that we packed them all up, and we're moving now, of course, to Montana for new listeners who may not know that. And they're going to get unpacked, and they're going to be prominently used. If you use the code 6OFF, the number 6 and OFF at backwoodshome.com, you're going to save $6. And then what's our next sponsor, Shelby?
Minutemen Coffee.
Get all jacked up and crazy like Shelby.
That's what powers our show. Minutemen Coffee, great folks over there. Great patriots, great preppers. Again, you can find almost all of these sponsors on our website, prepping2-0.com. Click on Friends and Affiliates. Use the coupon code I Miss America at checkout. You'll get 15% off. Minutemen Coffee is the exclusive roaster of our signature coffee, I Miss America. So when you go buy your I Miss America coffee, use the coupon code I Miss America.
Yeah.
Get a little savings.
And they'll know that it came from us. Another sponsor that we love so much, Emp Shield. They make a device. It's been tested. The military has bought a bunch of them, so this is not some rinky-dink hokey thing that protects whatever it's wired into from the pulse from an EMP or a coronal mass ejection from the sun, which we're kind of due for one pretty soon. And you can get those things at empshield.com. Use a coupon code PREPPING2.0. You get $50 off each device. They're about $300. I like to tell people that to give them an idea. $50 is a pretty significant chunk of, say, 300 or so. We have some, and when we get to our Montana home, we're going to wire our generators, plural, with EMP Shield units, our house electrical system, and at least one of our vehicles. So this isn't like something where somebody just hands us a sheet of paper and we read it. No, this is something we use and believe in. And then the last sponsor that we have, I will mention, is Lizzie McDaniel, a realtor in Tennessee. Tennessee, you guys, is a magnificent state to consider relocating to. It's red state. Lizzie did a great video bonus show with us a few months ago now, and she talked about Tennessee as a place for preppers. Lizzie is one of us. She understands this. You're not just opening up, the yellow pages, a reference to phone books. Millennials and Gen Zers, you may not know what a phone book is. And not that I'm critical, I'm just saying you may not know what it is. Go to a museum, see what a phone book is. But it's not like you're just opening it up and picking some random person who doesn't understand why you need to have a water well when you're on city water, for example. Lizzie gets it. Lizzie has been inundated with Prepping 2.0 listeners. Which is awesome. Which we love, and she's been really, really awesome. So please consider that. You can find Lizzie at redstate-realtors.com and click on Tennessee, and you get all the information, all the contact information for Lizzie. That's redstate-realtors.com. Click on Tennessee. And another note, redstaterealtors.com is another thing that we do for our audience. We do it for everybody, I guess, but it was primarily designed because our audience said, hey, I want to move to X red state. Where do I find a realtor? So I've gathered up a bunch of realtors, not for every red state, so I'm still working on it, to be honest. It's a work in progress. If you're interested in a particular state, let's say Texas, we have a Texas realtor. You can click on there and you're going to get the contact information for a legit realtor who's a prepper, who's one of us, who contacted us. We don't go out and like talk to all 1.5 million realtors or whatever. They come to us and they say, I'm one of you guys.
Yes.
I want to help relocate people. So that's redstate-realtors.com. And that concludes our sponsors.
Awesome sponsors. So let's jump in really quick to number 73. And I'm glad you're the odd numbers because this is more your wheelhouse than mine.
Yes. Shaving supplies, razors, creams, talc, aftershave. Not sure about the aftershave. You don't want to smell like some, disco guy, in a collapse. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe it's a disco collapse. Don't know. So shaving supplies. I don't shave a lot, but I do on occasion. I can see the importance of it. I got really scraggly a couple weeks ago because there's all this like moving and all this like chemo stuff, and I just wasn't really taking care of myself. And my beard started getting itchy and stuff like that, and Shelby wasn't digging it. And if Shelby doesn't dig it, then I need to do something about it. So shaving supplies are important, not just to keep clean shaven. If you want to keep clean shaven, that's cool. But even if you have a beard or something, you're going to need shaving supplies because stuff gets like curly and itchy and scratchy, and you don't need that. I mean, if you're out on patrol and you're itching your face all the time, maybe somebody's going to sneak up on you and stick a knife in your scapula.
Well, this is just my thoughts. I don't think shaving, because here's the thing. In terms of pure need, shaving,
it's a comfort item.
It's a comfort item. That's why I see it more barterable. Mm-hmm. Men do not need to be shaved. They don't. Yeah. But it's handy. It's barterable. Keep some extras on hand, certainly. But do you need to fill up like half of a shed of shaving supplies? No, I don't think you do.
I would add to that another use, and you're going to think I'm kidding, and I'm not. Another use for shaving supplies, gentlemen, is... Let's say you're out on patrol, like I mentioned, with your big beard. You get in a firefight, you zap some bad guys. Let's say they're gang members, and then the gang members are not terribly thrilled that you just killed some of their homies. So the gang comes and looks for who did it. If you shave your beard off, they won't suspect you. So consider shaving supplies a way to create a disguise, basically, to change your appearance and not be identified. And you might think I'm kidding. That whole thing about zapping gang dudes and gangs coming after you is something that I think is going to happen more than any of us want. Shelby, number 74.
Number 74. This I have a big affinity for. Really quick. It's number 74 is hand pumps and siphons. Boy, and we have a lot of these for two reasons. A lot of people think, you might think one or the other, you need it for both. For water to pump out of a vessel, and fuel. Big deals. And there's all kinds of and we're not going to go into deep detail here. There's all kinds of different uses. Check your use. Check your valves. There you go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely hand pumps, because you cannot count on electricity. Once again, we're in some sort of golden age of something. You can get little battery powered siphons that, probably aren't good for 1,000-gallon tanks, but they're pretty good for little gas cans and stuff like that from Harbor Freight for like $12. They work okay. Now that's power with a battery. You can get hand pumps. I think the hand pumps, the utility little hand pump siphoning things at Harbor Freight are like $6. And siphons, I do not recommend siphoning gasoline. I did that once and I burped up petroleum products and it was gross. So we are going to continue in the second segment. We're going to start on number 75, and you guys won't even know what it is. You'll be surprised to know what it is. But I guess you got to stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
More Prepping 2.0 with authors Glenn Tate and Shelby Gallagher is coming right up. Hear all our previous shows free online at prepping2-0.com.
Abe Lincoln here. In 1773, patriots broke the chains of British tyranny by throwing tea into Boston Harbor. On that day, Americans began drinking coffee. We celebrate that event daily here at Minutemen Coffee. All men are created equal. Coffee is not. Minutemen Coffee is roasted to perfection in small batches. Bold, smooth, and never bitter. Shipped to you fresh daily. Whole bean, ground, or our patented pods. www.minutemencoffee.com.
When the grid goes down, darkness will descend fast. Used to be there was nothing you could do about an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, or CME, coronal mass ejection. Now you can protect your electronics, protect your family, thanks to Emp Shield. Emp Shield invented a simple-to-install device that prevents whatever's connected to it from frying in an EMP or CME, and it costs just a few $100s. Emp Shield has been tested by independent laboratories and passed muster with the government, which has ordered lots of them. Google Emp Shield and see for yourself. And save some money. Get a $50 discount per device. Go to prepping2-0.com. Click on the Friends and Affiliates page, then click on the Emp Shield logo. At checkout, use coupon code PREPPING2.0. It's all one word.
Prepping 2.0 is about that next level of prepping. One of the key 2.0 items to have is bulletproof body armor plates. I used to think body armor was too tactical for a regular guy like me, but it isn't. Give yourself, your family, and your team an unfair advantage when bullets are flying. Body armor used to be expensive and hard to get. Not anymore. KD Armor, and that stands for Come and Take It, makes solid and affordable body armor for normal people. Get body armor while you can. The clowns in Congress are trying to prohibit future sales. KD Armor is the place to get it. CATI armor.com. Prepping 2.0 listeners get a 10% discount when you use the coupon code GRANT.
PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Looking to meet other like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own prepper group? Already have a group? Join PrepperNet.com. PrepperNet has gathered the biggest names in the industry to help unite preppers everywhere. Join John Jacob Schmidt, Scott Hunt, Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy, Glenn Tate, Shelby Gallagher, Charlie Hogwood, Samuel Culper, Survivor Jane, Rick Austin, Franklin Horton, Ryan Mitchell, and Brian Duff. Our team is united. Check us out at PrepperNet.com. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. PrepperNet.com.
Shelby Gallagher here. We found that you need to layer your food preps.
Yeah, this is Glenn Tate here. A lot of times the hardest part of layering is the long-term foods. We love Numana foods, which have a 25-year shelf life and are non-GMO. Also, organic meals are available.
Numana comes in family-style portions and in bulk. This is not backpacking food. It's family meals that last for at least 25 years. The perfect freeze-dried part of your food layering.
You can get a sample of Numana meals for $19.95 and see for yourself. You will be amazed.
Prepping 2.0 listeners get a 10% discount by entering the code PREP.
Go to Numana.com or click the link on the Prepping 2.0 website.
Give it a try. Numana.com. That is NUMANNA.com.
Now, more of Prepping 2.0 with authors Glenn Tate and Shelby Gallagher.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second segment of a part 6 of the top 100 things. We are on number 75. It took us 6 episodes to get the first 75 done, but that's okay because you know what? We do a lot of color commentary on this. We tell you about experiences we've had. Almost every item on here we've had personal experience with, and we can say, aha, don't make the mistake I made. So it isn't just reading off a list, because quite honestly, that'd take about 2 minutes and 35 seconds. No. And speaking of the list, it is available at prepping2-0.com, our website for all things Prepping 2.0. Mm-hmm. And off on the right, on the homepage, down about halfway, there's a little thing that says the new top 100 things to disappear the fastest. Click on that and you'll be able to follow along. Also, we highly recommend, talk about something that's easy and free. We highly recommend folks print out this top 100 list and keep it handy. Maybe you use it as a shopping list, but this is the stuff that's either going to make your life more comfortable. It's going to make you money with bartering. And I don't mean money like just for dumb stuff. I mean like money to use to, survive with. It's going to give you supplies, basically. And some of these things could save your life. Well, number 75, since I'm doing odds now,
yes,
we switched it up. Number 75, at first you're going to say, really? And then we think we can tell you why this is important. Soy sauce, vinegar, bouillons, gravy, and soup base. Gravy base and soup base. Why is all this important? Well, we went through earlier spices and our emphatic, very vocal, vehement suggestion that you have a ton of spices for a billion reasons, like they're really cheap, food is going to be bland, incredibly barterable. People will, and I'm not trying to be funny here because it's not funny, people will lose their minds. I mean, like go crazy, at least temporarily, maybe permanently, because they're eating the same beans and rice for months on end. And there's something called appetite fatigue, where your body will quit eating even though you're hungry if it's really, really bored. And spices help with that. But a subcategory of spices, things like soy sauce, vinegar, bouillon, gravy base, and soup base. First of all, soy sauce, great source of sodium because you're going to need it because you're going to be sweating. We went through that too when we talked about salt. Vinegar, Shelby, what are some uses for vinegar? And we only have like 7 hours because there's so many of them.
First of all, it's a good seasoner. It seasons foods. Mm-hmm. You can use it for pickling and canning and fermenting. There's that whole end of it. It's also good for cleaning. There's whole websites out there, how to use vinegar as a house cleaner. It keeps forever. I'm sure, actually, I think about it. I don't think it goes bad. Mm-hmm. If it does, if it's in extreme temperatures, it might actually ferment. Oh, well, it's still good as a cleaner. You just may not be able to ingest it. Encourage you to kind of look up the multiple uses for vinegar. You can add it to your laundry as a laundry booster. So many great things. And stupid cheap. Yeah.
Easy to store and lasts relatively long.
Comes in a jug. Yeah.
Another item, you know what I'm going to say? Remember the dead horse? Boom, boom, boom. That's me beating a dead horse. The sound effects are free, everybody. Beating a dead horse, barterable. Since vinegar has so many uses, it will be so doggone barterable. So it's not only good for what you've got. And this is another situation, vinegar, where if you look up on YouTube uses of vinegar or on a website, you can educate yourself in a matter of minutes. And then you can say, I didn't think of that. And then now you'll have some ideas about uses for vinegar. So it's not just important to have something like vinegar. It's also important to know how to use it and to know all the uses of it. And of course, if you can tick off 15 uses for vinegar, somebody's at the trading post, they're probably going to pay more for your vinegar when they go, I didn't know you could use it for that. So no downside to vinegar. Also mentioned on this is bouillon, like soup base, basically. It's phenomenal. It's a great start for a lot of things, stews and soups. It's a great way if somebody is having some digestive problems to get some salt into them, which is important. And it's dried. It's basically freeze-dried soup base in a sense. And so it lasts forever. It's really, really cheap. There's all kinds of different flavors. You'd be amazed what you can do with game animals and bouillon and some water and maybe some other stuff. It's great for that. Gravy base, highly recommend, because you want to talk about a compact, easy way to store 1 billion calories. It would be with gravy soup base. So think of powdered gravy soup base. We go to Smart Food Service, otherwise formerly known as Cash and Carry.
Well, they've changed it again to something else.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Breaking news here on Prepping 2.0.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So anyway, it's basically a restaurant supply place. You'll look up Smart Food Service, and then you'll see what kind of store it is, and then you'll figure out what that store is called in your area, whatever it might be. Basically a restaurant supply. They have a 1 pound Mylar is key, package of gravy base. So the Mylar is key because it's not going bad. It's basically flour and fat. And I guess it would go rancid after a while with it having fat in it, and salt and flavoring. Incredibly high in calories, delicious, great with rice, great with game meat, good as gravy's going to become a thing. There's a reason gravy was so popular in the South, and it kind of has fallen out of favor because it's so high in calories and all that other stuff, sodium. It's because 50, 100 years ago, gravy made a ton of sense because people needed the calories, and they needed that kind of calories in that kind of setup, and it tastes delicious.
Super easy to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, super easy to make too. So don't discount it. It's a great way to flavor meat.
I guess what I'm saying is, if you're like a lot of Americans, especially in the Midwest and North, in the West, you probably don't eat a lot of gravy because it's like bad. It's like, oh, don't eat gravy. No, do eat gravy and have plenty of gravy. Once again, barterable. That $7 or $8 1-pound package of gravy mix will be tradable for quite a lot of stuff in the collapse. And the last, of course, is soup base. Very similar to bouillon, very similar to gravy. Same idea. You get the picture why soup base would be important to have.
Ooh, I know something I can share. I get one of the number one questions I get asked. Where is the soup recipe that Julie made for Ned in the first book of my book series?
Called A Great State, which everyone should read.
Seriously, that's the number one question.
I thought the number one question is Glenn as awesome as he seems?
Glenn was not the model for Ned in the books.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You knew really that.
Dumb. No, is Glenn awesome, not the books?
No, when they asked me about my books, that's the number one question. That is, I'm going to tell you this right now. I've shared this on a video bonus show.
Yes,
that is from an actual book on how to make mixes that you can that you can seal up and put aside for meals.
Variety of uses and applications.
And it's from a series of books that I'm going to make a big announcement here. And this is part of it. This is how you can make your own soup bases and put it aside and store it for later. From a series of books that is no longer available. They're out of print. It's called Make a Mix.
Make a Mix.
Most of us who grew up in the 80s, several of my fans, when I tell them what the book series is, they're like, my mother had those on our shelves and she made the blah, blah, blah out of it. An upgraded version of that is called Meals in a Jar. Mm-hmm. The cover of it looks very crafty and like, I'm going to give someone a soup in a cute little jar for Christmas.
With frillies.
No, when you open it up and look at it, it's like, no, you're going to package this in a Mylar bag and you're going to have meals in a jar. And many of them are soup based. I think soups are great because you can add a protein to it. You can add a meat to it to boost it.
Warms you up.
Great source of sodium, like you just talked about, and vitamins, and it's not bland. So I really encourage you, if you can't find them, make some of your own. Certainly, we've gone to Winco Foods here in the West. You can
South. Winco's big in the South.
Big in the South. Go to their bulk food section, and you can buy pounds of the soup base that you can store away.
So cheap.
So good for you. Okay, so we've killed that.
Yes, you know what,
dead horse. Horse is starting to stink. I'm going to do number 76. Reading glasses. Seriously, for those of us in the aged category, as especially our close nearsighted vision goes away, it's part of the aging process. Reading glasses. You're not going to be able to see up close.
So not prescription, off the shelf reading glasses.
Yeah, reading glasses. And various strengths. Dollar store. Buy a crud ton of them. What do they
cost at the dollar store?
$1.
Oh, wow.
After I had my eye surgery last year, well, all of my vision was corrected. I lost my close-up sight, which I was used to. That was the one thing I did have, and I wasn't used to it. I joked with my ophthalmologist, I have to have a pair of reader glasses every 18 inches in my house because I can't see anything up close.
But when they're $1 at the dollar store, you can sprinkle them all over the place.
Oh my gosh, and as we're packing the house up,
about
piles.
of them.
My gosh. But seriously, have them. They're going to be very handy, especially in the super strong, so you can see super up close in case you need to, I don't know, stitch a wound. You need to sew a button on or something like that. Find something those that are kind of super strong that you need in those certain situations. Thoughts?
Barterable.
Very barterable.
Barterable like crazy. How would you like to get, and they come in these sizes like plus 0.75 and plus 1.0 and blah, blah, blah. Go get like a variety pack of them. And it'd be like $12.
Costco has variety packs of them.
Yeah. $12, whatever. And then somebody can't read anything, maybe can't even see up close. And you're like, here you go. And that'll be $200 in trade stuff. And you'll be doing them a favor, by the way. You're not ripping anybody off. You're prepared. And let's say nothing ever happens. Let's say you don't need them. Oh, geez, you're out. Oh, I remember in 2021, I paid $12 for some stuff I ended up not using for 5 years. Okay. It's a darn good insurance policy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So big fan of reader glasses, getting them in stock, even if you don't need them. I don't personally need them, although probably I should have them. But we have a ton of them for just that reason. Okay, number 77. Oh, boy. Do you guys have about 7 hours to hear this? I am passionate about this. Hot chocolate, cocoa, Tang, Punch drink mixes. You guys need them. Now, if you've listened to the Food Preps 2.0 episodes we did 4 of them. We did Food Preps 2.0 parts 1 and 2, and then a couple years later, we redid them. We updated them with more information that we've learned since then. So that's why there are 4 episodes, 2 episode packages. Big fan of drink mixes for a variety of reasons. Well, let's tick them off. First of all, water is probably not going to be super tasty everywhere. It's not going to be like it is now where there's like, mineral enhanced like bottled water that's all tasty and good. Tap water will be probably the best kind of water you're getting, and you may be getting chemically treated water. And so water is not going to be awesome to drink by itself. You throw some drink mix in there, and it's going to make life way better. I have a personal story about this. Well, 2 personal stories about this. Who has 2 personal stories about drink mixes? Glenn Tate. So the first one is, in the past, when I was in high school and doing search and rescue, got lost in the woods. Yeah, I did. It's kind of embarrassing. Ended up figuring out how to get out. I had to drink nasty, literal swamp water with actual pond scum on it. I used water treatment pills, and they worked, thank goodness. That was an interesting night of waiting for the Giardia to kick in. And so I treated them with the military iodine-based stuff. It was the 80s. That's all we had. Thank goodness, with an exclamation point. I had some Hawaiian Punch, red fruit punch, which is delicious, by the way, drink mix to mask the nastiness. Here's another great advantage of drink mixes, especially fruity, tasty drink mixes. Sugar. As we've said with other things, like we were talking about salt and bouillon and gravy and everything, it's like, oh, gravy's bad, it's got fat and salt. Well, that's peacetime, and if you sit in a cubicle 12 hours a day, then you probably don't need a lot of salt and fat, but you will when you're so active in the collapse. You're going to need sugar. You might as well get it through a drink mix. And you can't go wrong. Huge morale booster, especially with kids. Very, very important. And hot chocolate mix. You guys know from reading 299 Days, and I know you have, hopefully you have, Chocolatey Goodness, which was oatmeal mix and hot chocolate mix together, which created Chocolatey Goodness. And it's huge. Hot cocoa mix or hot chocolate mix, depending on what part of the country you're from and how you say it, is fantastic. Not only is it sugar, not only is it tasty, it's got some dairy in it too, which is very good. So all these things are really important. One thing, when you buy them, make sure you store them in a very moisture-proof way. A cardboard container of Gatorade, after a couple years, is going to soak up water, and it's going to cake and get crusty and not be useful. So vacuum seal stuff, or if it already comes in Mylar packages, like sugar drink mix at Cash and Carry / Food Smarts Food Service / whatever it's called in your area. They have these Mylar bags of sugar drink mix, pretty tasty too. Pink lemonade is my favorite, that are already in a Mylar bag, and they're like $2 or $4, and they make like, I don't know, 10 gallons or something like that. So you can't go wrong with this stuff. And you're going to, even if you don't drink sugared drinks right now, which probably you shouldn't do right now, you're going to, in the future, those around you in the future are going to, and boom, boom, boom. Oh, that's the sound of beating a dead horse. But post-mortem horse beating, Shelby has something else to add.
I'm going to add to this because it's kind of a big deal. Okay, so kind of what you were talking about, when you have to purify water, and if you use potable water tablets, those are what you're talking about. That's the brand name for them, potable aqua water tablets. If you have to use those in water, like in other words, you have to go pull water out of a stream or a lake, and it's gross and it's got green things, and that's what you use to purify that. That is the hallmark, the gold standard for cleaning that kind of water. It's not going to taste very good. You can also boil it, which takes time,
a lot of
and
fuel.
It takes a pot and it takes a fire. But if you're in an emergency, like survival situation, potable tablets are the gold standard.
Available on Amazon.
available everywhere. I just did a Google search. They have Walmart's, REI, all kinds of places. They don't taste very good, neither does the water. Yes. So please have a drink mix, have something that can help you out with that. Encourage you to do that. I will say this though too. I think the technology has really improved with all of these drink mixes. Chocolate and cocoa, yes, definitely. And it's a good flavor enhancer. You are famous for putting cocoa into oatmeal. We talked about that.
Famous, she says.
Tang, punch, powders,
iced tea mixes.
Anything, I would say something that adds something to it. I would say there's Gatorade powder out there that I think is the electrolytes. The new one that you and I have gotten is the liquid IV.
Yeah.
Not cheap.
No.
It goes on sale often though at Costco. It has a flavor, so it tastes better.
It has some sugar, and it will. Well, not a lot though. Yeah, I know, just a little.
And it's one of these. It's the little little sleeve
packet that you put in a
bottle of
half
water.
Liter, bottled water that you get Dasani or whatever.
So if you've backpacked, if you've had to use potable water tablets in a backpacking situation, I recommend not just your basic Kool-Aid or your basic Tang, but use an IV liquid IV or a electrolyte
replenisher. You're right. Technology has come so far, and there are so many amazing drink mixes that really add to it. So I'm going to revise what I said. Instead of Kool-Aid and stuff like that, I mean, okay, if you want Kool-Aid, but you can do better. You can get basically restorative medicine in a drink mix, and just look around and get some good stuff.
I would say get some good stuff for you and your close family tribe. If you find some crap stuff out there that's just your Kool-Aid and your Tang, that's for when the zombies come and you want to trade it away, or if it's the last that you have, So there you go. So we have
100%
really killed that one.
Yes.
Next one, number 78, rain barrel kits.
Do you have any experience with this? I
do have an experience in that. These are kind of, and rain barrel kits, with the premise with this is to be able to capture rain. It is a system, and you need to customize it for what you are doing. I have a rain barrel. I've had it for a long time. I use it to collect water to feed now I no longer have them, chicken flock. Worked really well this whole last year. Encourage you to think about, especially depending on where you're at, how you can do that, especially if you look up there's some great videos on YouTube, again, for people who live in Arizona and live in the South, where water is primo. Great way to collect water, collect it in a cistern of some kind, and be able to filter it and be able to drink it or use it for watering. Figure out a way to do that, because that's a great water source. So what are your thoughts?
Just like so many other things that we talk about, getting the item is just the beginning. There's a system to this. And in many cases, skill. Shelby mentioned looking on YouTube. Here's the system. It's not just a barrel that rain falls into and then you scoop it out with a cup. They have valves, taps, if you will, on the bottom. There are hoses, overflow, adapters. You can elevate it a foot or two so that the tap is above the ground, and then you can use it to have the water flow out into another container. You can use a hose to feed chickens and all these other things. The point is, just having the rain barrel is only the start. Figure out your system, and as Shelby said, figure out what works where you are, and get a system together. Watch some YouTube videos, get some ideas, go on to whatever site it is you want for rain barrels, and get a rain barrel or two. Very, very helpful in these situations. And there's a system to it, but don't let that intimidate you. When I say there's a system and there's a lot to this, it's not insurmountable. I mean, we did it. And we have 7 jobs.
But I don't want what our listeners to hear, and I think you agree with me, we don't want you to think, I just need to go grab a barrel next time I see one, on sale out front of the garden center. No. Before you do that, before you waste money and go do a quick search, quick tutorial to make sure you're doing it wisely and smartly. That's all. Yep.
100%. Well, we have a few minutes in the regular show, and then in the after show, we'll continue doing these. If you've noticed, regular show listeners who are not Patreons, that we skipped over 7 or 8 items. Like in part 5, we ended at
I don't remember.
We ended at 65.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden we started this regular show at 71. What happened to the other ones? They were discussed in the after show. And it's something we give after show, well, Patreon supporters who listen to the after show, we give them more. They pay us money. We give them more. It's super simple. So be one of those people that we give more to whom we give more. I should not end in a, it's not a preposition. It's
Bad
an infinitive.
grammar.
Yeah. In any event. So number 79, I feel very passionate about this. Woolen clothing, scarves, earmuffs, and mittens. Why wool? A variety of reasons. Let me put it this way. Not cotton. So you need to have wool.
The gold standard for warmth.
It stays warm even when it's wet. It's relatively light. Yes, it's a little bit itchy. Have an underlayer of some kind. Some sort of wicking top and bottom. Merino wool would be nice with regular wool over it. Merino wool is a very special kind of wool. It's kind of not even wool.
Well, in wool has come the technology for spinning it and using it as a fabric, as a warm, has come a long way. It used to be when you and I were kids. If you said wool sweater, we're like,
ugh.
It's super thick and itchy. And then you'd have to layer it. And then you're like sweaty.
Yeah.
The technology now, you can pick up a wool sweater and not even realize. It's so soft and feels so good, you don't even realize that it's wool. Technology is your friend.
Come a long way, yes. In general, ditch cotton. Cotton's great for walking around a mall, but it's not great in the outdoors. Anyway, woolen clothing. Used to be, and I think this is less common now. Oh, geez Louise, it's 35 years since this was actually true. I'm getting old. German surplus military wool pants were amazing. We use those all the time in search and rescue. So consider woolen clothing, military surplus wool clothing, if you can find it.
Military surplus wool blankets.
Oh, geez. Gold standard.
Seriously. Yeah. Good stuff.
And it also mentions scarves, earmuffs, and mittens. I'm not a big scarf fan because I'm a man, but because I don't think they're terribly fashionable. But there are things that act like scarves that aren't really scarves. Shmog, which is the Arab thing, the kerchief
head wrap
thing. Those are incredibly handy. I'm not going to go off this list and start talking about something that's not on the list, but we have about a minute left, and I'll say that there are things to cover your neck and keep you warm that are important. And then, of course, earmuffs. I used to laugh at those because it was like only the sissies wore earmuffs when I was a kid. I'm not laughing anymore. You got to do that. There are a variety of things like a watch cap that can go over your ears. And then mittens. Guys, ladies, you have to keep your hands warm. Mittens, you can get fingerless ones. You can get full ones. You can get gloves. I'm a big fan of mittens because it allows the dexterity. And with that in mind, we'll go into the after show, but not until Shelby gives us her closing trademark line that you guys love so much.
Folks, from Benjamin Franklin, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Have a great week, everyone.
You've been listening to Prepping 2.0 with authors Glenn Tate and Shelby Gallagher. All the information you've heard today, including all our previous shows, is online at prepping2-0.com. Find out more about Glenn's books at 299days.com and Shelby's books at agreatstate.com. Until next time, be smart, be safe, and be prepared.